Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Today we're revisiting the Cardano token, ADA, so to speak, and where it can potentially go this cycle, and I guess where it's also headed in the long term. Now, disclaimer, I do hold Cardano, and I told you guys way back here 5 months ago, and I think actually 10 months ago was when I started actually showing you guys on chain and I was buying it. Now, I got it when it was around 30 to 35 cents. It's now sitting at 70. I still think it's a great deal, but again, full disclaimer, don't get married to any alts. Focus again on the Raoul Pal, don't fuck this up thesis, and stick with 80% of your allocation in Bitcoin. And if you want to go further on the risk curve, Raoul says Ethereum, Solana, and Sui can make up that 80. So he doesn't even go any further down into any of the other alts into that bag. Me personally, all about Bitcoin. But I did buy alts in the last season, so I am more heavily weighted in alts right now, and Cardano is one of those. And I do like what Charles is doing. Like, he is building, man. He is heads down behind the scenes, and then the ADA army, the entire community, they are super, super bullish and supportive of what Charles is doing. So it may not look like it's doing much right now, but I do like the fact that he is doing stuff behind the scenes. So he may not have the volume that Solana does and all the hype, may not have the global centralized exchanges that BNB has, doesn't have the first mover advantage of Ethereum, but he is a builder, man. And he's a Bitcoin OG, and he is the only one that I'm familiar with, or one of the few blockchains that support Bitcoin's native UTXOs. So the Bitcoin DeFi integration that he's working on, I believe it will have some legs because Bitcoin's not going anywhere. So building on top of Bitcoin is definitely a sound strategy. So we're going to listen to this clip where he outlines, well, actually, this is from Altcoin Daily, dissecting different parts of this podcast with Yano. But in here, he makes a bold claim about ADA doing a 1000x and outperforming Bitcoin. And that's also similar to this clip that I had here. ADA is the only threat to Bitcoin. And I know there's some people that are, trolls that will be unhappy with that statement. But from a numbers perspective, obviously ADA has anything below Bitcoin has more growth potential in the short term than Bitcoin does. Like, it takes so much more to move this market cap, but Bitcoin, as Michael Saylor says, is the black hole that will eat everything else. So there's roughly 500 trillion worth of stuff out there that Bitcoin can eat up, and first tackling gold, which is a 10x from here just to get the gold. Whereas ADA sitting down here at 28 billion, we could just round that down and we'll say it's basically 100x to get to the current market cap of Bitcoin. So there's a lot more room for it to grow, but let's dissect these statements in here, and then I'll let you determine what you think it will do. And of course, not financial advice. I am not saying go out there and bet on ADA, but if you got it in your bag and you were like me and picked it up at 35 cents, I do believe it still has a lot of runway.
You think ADA will still outperform BTC in the future?
Of course, because how much farther can Bitcoin go? Maybe to 1 million. Okay, it's 10x. ADA can go 100x, 1000x.
So that's his statement on that podcast, 100x or 1000x. I could definitely see a 100x, and I think he's saying this by 2030. So everybody's got this magic number of 2030. That's also Raoul Pal's thesis, where everything just changes so much at that stage that we won't really know how to play the game anymore. And that's true because of the cost of energy going down, AI coming on the scene and bringing the cost of labor down, the financial markets changing drastically by that time, I'm sure. So 2030 ain't but 4.5 years from now, man. That is crazy to think about. But the first catalyst that he comes up with, or the third catalyst, if you're going from bottom up, is the ETF, which is inevitable that he states in this podcast.
More broadly, we are in index products already. Like Coinbase has their top 50, and there's several other indexes floating around from Grayscale, I think Bitwise, and all of these do include some percentage of ADA. So an ETF for ADA is inevitable.
So that is, can't say it's guaranteed, but when you look over here at Binance as of August 3rd, this article they made, Cardano ETF approval odds jumped to 83%. ADA price targets $4. But this new crypto coin will blah, blah, blah. So basically they're saying there's an 83% approval chance of an ETF. It is one of the crypto coins in the strategic stockpile. And it is a US coin, so to speak. So those kind of got this blanket approval. And I believe the recent filings from the SEC that dropped charges, it was listed that it is not a security. So it's got the green light to go. There's nothing in its way anymore. And Charles is head down building. So I do believe, again, that there is some solid runway left for this. Right now at 80 cents, you still have, in my humble opinion, a buying opportunity because the previous all-time high was $3 on the head, 291. Maybe on some charts it was 3. So you're still looking at a solid 3.5x from here just to get to the previous all-time high. And according to this Binance article with the ETF, that can push it all the way up to $4. So that's a 5x from here. So why the hell not, right? Let's go to catalyst number 2.
30. Well, this is the big one. Catalyst number 2, the state of Cardano in 2025, meaning the metrics, meaning the growth, and stablecoin growth will be a big one.
Probably by 2030, we're going to have stablecoins grow to about $1 trillion to $2 trillion vertical, and probably about 500 million to 1 billion transactions per month. So massive growth.
Cardano's stablecoin market cap grew 30% quarter over quarter to $30 million, with Cardano's USDM stablecoin leading. Stablecoins are another big trend in crypto this cycle. This is a Trojan horse because it brings massive money onto a blockchain. Ethereum's obviously dominating stablecoins, meaning most stablecoins are right now built on Ethereum, but that is upside. That is opportunity for ADA. And people forget Cardano's secret. Cardano's massive treasury, billions of dollars they have ready to allocate. And founder Charles Hoskinson explains that Cardano could use this massive treasury, convert some of that money into stablecoins to stimulate the ADA stablecoin ecosystem to build up ADA DeFi.
We at any time can use the treasury. There's 1.7 billion ADA in the treasury. We could go convert 100 million ADA or dollars worth of ADA into USDM. Just go do that. And then put some financial infrastructure like Wave or Brevin Howard or somebody behind that and say, go build up the trading, market making, and TVL in the Cardano ecosystem and get all the pairs in play. Could go do that. And probably get 5 to 10% returns on it and purchase ADA every year with it and donate it back to the treasury. We could do that.
But stablecoin.
So that is huge. That requires voting and putting up a proposition for that. Because remember, Cardano is a governance model and checks the decentralized boxes now. So I don't know if that proposal is kicked around, but that idea would definitely turbocharge the Bitcoin DeFi that Charles is working on, which we're going to get to because that's catalyst number 1. But that will pick up some volume. Right now, Cardano doesn't get any love really from the existing stable coins. So it does make sense for it to kind of create or stimulate its own stable coin economy. And if you're a US citizen, stable coins don't mean really shit to you. They're not something you need. But this is, remember, the Trojan horse for Bitcoin because we need, as Jack Mallers says, someone to buy our dog shit bonds. And none of the countries want to buy it. And rightfully so. We sanctioned Russia during the last administration. So imagine if you were holding collateral for someone or something, and then all of a sudden they're like, we don't recognize that, you're cut off. Like if you're there, another country looking at that, you'd be like, well, I gotta get rid of this shit because they might do the same thing to me. So weaponizing treasuries definitely put a sour taste in the global market, but we still need people to buy our treasury bonds because we are the global reserve currency and we outsource the dollar to everybody else and then import their goods and services. So we need that debt and someone to buy it and hold on to it. So stablecoins is the way to do it. And we've already seen with the stablecoin bill and with Besant talking about the trillions that this can bring into the economy or just into crypto in general. And then you've seen like JP Morgan, Chase Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, a couple others talking about making their own stable coins as well. So Charles is on the right path for this, and that is a solid catalyst in my humble opinion that can definitely turbocharge ADA. So let's get to the last one, which to me is the absolute most bullish because it is tied directly to Bitcoin, and I'm all in on Bitcoin at this stage in my life. So anything that kind of helps Bitcoin adoption, I'm all about, or gives Bitcoin more utility, I think is a better way to phrase this.
The #1 catalyst, unlocking Bitcoin DeFi. Quick take. Ethereum today owns stablecoins. That means they're the backbone of DeFi. Solana today is building a decentralized NASDAQ, meaning they're tokenizing real-world assets, RWAs. What's Cardano's edge? Well, that's unlocking Bitcoin DeFi.
We want Bitcoin DeFi in the Cardano ecosystem.
And Cardano is one of the few blockchains in a very unique position of having a compatible network with Bitcoin. This, theoretically, allows the largest crypto network on Earth, Bitcoin, which has a market cap of trillions of dollars, to be unlocked. And as we answer what 1,000 ADA coins may be worth by 2030, here's founder of Cardano explaining the actual catalyst needed for the Cardano network to 1,000x.
You think ADA will still outperform BTC in the future?
Of course, because how much farther can Bitcoin go? Maybe to 1 million, okay, it's a 10x. ADA can go 100x, 1,000x over this. It's like, guys, we're not a second-class citizen. Cardano does substantially more, and because of Bitcoin DeFi, it's going to end up probably being the yield layer of Bitcoin. So it's going to get a huge halo effect from that. And because of the launch model of Midnight, partner chains are going to bring in airdrops almost annually to ADA. So you're making the case for holding ADA. It's like if you hold ADA, you're going to get Night tokens. Night could be a $10 billion product right out of the gate. And 50% of the supply is being allocated to ADA holders. And every year, these things are going to be dropping.
When does that airdrop happen?
The airdrop is the second half of the year. We'll have an announcement at Rare Evo about it. But that's like imminent. It's not like a hypothetical thing. It's like this year, and Midnight's launching this year. And every year, these drops are coming. And when you hold ADA, you're going to get multiple revenue streams. You get the ADA yield, but then you also get all the other tokens that are managed inside the ecosystem.
Now, I'm not tied into ADA like that, looking at this Midnight drop. But again, the point that I made when I first introduced this earlier in the video is that Charles is heads down building, man. Like, he is building the foundation so that when this all kicks off, it can just run smoothly. So that's all he's been doing for like the last decade. Remember, he splintered off from Ethereum and started building this. And he's been catching a lot of hell along the way, but he's never stopped building. So that says a lot.
Because ADA is a significantly better investment than Bitcoin. It's not me saying it's a fact. So here's some history that you might not be aware of. When the ADA crowd sale happened, we didn't yet. And the yen was converted to Bitcoin for auditability. So an audit report's actually coming out likely next month. It'll show the Bitcoin addresses for this. But at one time, I was one of the largest holders of Bitcoin in the world. We had 108,000 Bitcoin. So, that's a lot of Bitcoin, but it was at $250, give or take, depending on when it was purchased, because there were several tranches for it. Well, here's the thing. If you do the market valuation of that, it was like, 12, 13 billion, depends on the Bitcoin value today. Yeah. Well, if we just held the Bitcoin from the ADA sale, it'd be 12 billion. The market value of Cardano is 30 billion. So we outperformed Bitcoin by a factor of 2.8, give or take. So people are like, oh, Bitcoin is such a better investment than all these other things. Well, EOS, absolutely, that's true. The only two around from that era are Ethereum and Cardano, where actually the network substantially outperformed.
That is huge. That is a huge receipt that Charles has that very few people can say. Like he said, one, the only two blockchains that have been around since that time frame are Cardano and Ethereum, and those are the only two that outperformed Bitcoin since that time frame. Let's put it that way. So outperform meaning the amount of gains if you would have been in ADA or Ethereum versus solely in Bitcoin at that stage. And then also him stating that we'll be able to verify publicly that he was one of the largest Bitcoin holders at the time, like 108,000 Bitcoin. And then the fact that converting that or building ADA, he outperformed Bitcoin by 2.8x, meaning if he had held Bitcoin, he would actually have less USD dollar value than he has right now, the current market value of ADA being almost 30 billion. So again, that is a huge receipt. Give this man his flowers, because again, he's building, he's doing stuff. He's got the history. So can ADA 1000x? I don't think that's in the cards, but what he's saying is basically, when we zoom out and go back and look at this, Bitcoin is currently tackling the gold market cap. Gold market cap is like 22 trillion, 23 trillion. That's why everybody throws out the 1 million Bitcoin number. So that's a 10x from here. And if Cardano is going to be tackling the same future range of Bitcoin, which is at 22 trillion market cap, then you're looking at, from today's prices, a roughly 800 to 900x in the cards. So will that happen by 2030? I do not think so, but I definitely see, in my humble opinion, that 5x to a $4 price range by the end of this cycle, or we'll just say by the end of next year, whenever the potential ETF approval goes in. So I think right now we're sitting in this launch pad with the entire crypto market, and the current administration has greased the launch pad. They're lighting the fuse, and we are just waiting for the September FOMC meeting and the Fed to turn dovish. That's really all that's waiting, because there is liquidity just being sloshed around from all over the global markets. But due to the US kind of running at the forefront of this, everything's waiting on that. So make no mistake, we get those 2 rate cuts, which the poly markets are currently pricing in, 50 basis points in total by the end of this year, and then Powell's on his way out by May of next year. All these ETF approvals, I see no reason why any of these solid alts, especially ADA, can't run and rip. I don't know when this thing ends, but well into next year, first quarter, well, we'll call it second quarter, because we will definitely have a new dovish Fed chair come May. So that takes us into second quarter. What happens after that? I have no idea. How much leverage will be in the system? Will we see a bear market? Who knows? Will it just continue all the way till 2030? No clue, because this thing runs well into next year. We start reaching the next halving cycle again, but halvings are going to start to have less impact because obviously you're having less Bitcoin. So I don't know. TLDR, there's at least 5x in ADA, and Charles is stating that he believes there's a 1,000x, 100 to 1,000x in the cards for ADA. We'll go in the middle. Charles, the dev, the CEO, creator of ADA, we'll call it, has a 500x at least in the cards. So if you're willing to, buy the hype, could be a solid, not financial advice investment at 80 cents. Who the hell knows? All right, that's all I got. Smash that HBO special, help a brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below. And until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.